Hey, this video is part of a series for level building tools for Rollball. Jump in on this moving platform here, and we'll demonstrate how it's working with one configuration. It's waiting for the player to move on to it. You'll notice I'm kind of moving around to stay on. With physics, it's moving on its own, making the ball move on its own. And it waits for me to get back on as I get off. It'll stay in position and wait each time. So let's check out how that's working. If I wanted to change a couple things, I can move into my customizing. The route duration is from one end to another, not a full cycle. The faster it's going, so the shorter the duration, the more difficult it is to stay on the platform. And not really an ideal way to add difficulty, I think, because it's kind of awkward. So I would tend to leave this longer and only customize it as you have a longer route. The longer the route, the longer you'll want to set that duration. Whether it's looping and active or one of the two is only partially set up so far as the different ways the logic can play out, but it can either not be moving at all until you activate some kind of switch, or it can make one cycle or go from one end to the other and not come back. So for now, it can either not go at all or continuously move back and forth as a loop, or do what we saw where it'll wait for the player. In addition, you can set the scale of the platforms. We have the X and Y axis, the green and the red, and then the Z axis scales. These are kind of split up in the categories. I need to fix that, but it's all going to be in one spot after it's set up. So let's go ahead and re-implement this and play with a couple of those settings. I'm not going to explain how they're built right now, just how to build with them, as this is for level designers, level builders, and another video will cover how to use it as a developer. So from our content, go to Blueprints, and I'll have a level building tools directory as this gets more advanced, or I might put it on the top level here. But for now, we just have the different tools here and our moving platform. I'll drag one into the world, get it started out there. Now our default scale, I should probably set the default to 1, because this is a bit of a wide column here. I can move this into place generally before I start adjusting the customizing things, but I don't want to start rotating it and moving these pieces around just from holding the object. What I want to use are these start point and end points. You can see the little markers, the faces there. And by grabbing onto the object, I can select one of the components, and from there I can go and move about the components by clicking. But you'll still grab the wrong thing sometimes, so I would just grab the start point, and we will rotate this so it lines up. Right now I don't have snapping on, so undo that. Turn on my rotation snapping, and that rotates at 10 degrees. And then I will move it in and up. You want it to be pretty flush so there's not a lip. It's not like a kinematic kind of movement where it's forgiving. If you have a lip with a physics object, it will clip on it and be unsatisfying. So that's my start point, and I'll set up my end point, grab that marker there. In 3D space, it can be real hard to tell where you're at. So get it basically into position. You'll see this one happens to already be lined up, but we would be rotating it otherwise. Right, and if you noticed when it came up here, it moved almost 90 degrees. That was 10 degrees, so another 80 right at flush. But I will have to introduce that manually by adding another 90-degree turn here. Because it was already 10 degrees towards this. This one didn't have any relative rotation, so it was at 0. Moving at 90, there's a difference of 80 degrees before that. So it's just going to make a nice, appealing rotation there. It wouldn't have to. So it's going to move up and rotate from that point to another. And we want it to be, we'll go back to the base here so I can mess with my settings. We want it to be slower than that, because if we play it here on a 1 movement speed, you can see it's pretty awkward to stay on. And we don't want to add that kind of difficulty in with these sorts of obstacles. So let's grab this and we'll half that duration, or double the duration to make it take twice as long to get from one point to the end, so it's 2 seconds each way. And this scale I should have changed before I lined it up, but let's go with the platform scale and double that, because it was also kind of awkward to stay on in that way as well. So I don't want to just be over here and grab this and move it. You can see that both platforms are moving, and sometimes that might happen to work out, but it won't in our case. So let me undo that, grab my start point, get it lined up again. I can click on the endpoint and press F to move over to it more easily, and get this guy lined up as well. We should be good to go there. We'll turn off waiting for the ball so you can see another setting, and the loop delay amount will double here. This is how long it sits at the endpoints before it goes back. Now I'm not going to go into how these are built in this video, but if you're interested in seeing that, I will provide a link once that video is completed. But these will need to be remade several times as it goes about development. There's all sorts of logic that you can use puzzle-wise with these that just isn't available here. You notice that it's not waiting for me anymore, and that it's taking a lot longer to go from one to the other. I might go between where we are, between 1 and 2 seconds per endpoint. It's a little dull, especially with the bigger platform where you could probably stand to move around a little bit to stay balanced. But that is as simple as it is to add a moving platform to a level in Rollball.